hard to find somebody who's not happy. Well, if it's like most off seasons in the NFL, there's a Cincinnati Bengal who wants to be paid who's unhappy.
Yeah.
Mike Mayock gave us the roadmap. I think when we had him on for the first time talking about the draft in mid-March, right? Late March is when he started appearing weekly. And I'm like, if you're the Bengals general manager, they think they're going to sign all three guys, right? They think they're going to give Joe Burrow what he wants. And the three guys are Jamar Chase, and they're going to give him also T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson. And T. Higgins had just been franchise tagged. And his answer was like, the three guys, can they do it? Sure. But what they're definitely going to give Joe Burrow is the two wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And they gave him the two wide receivers. And they even took the franchise tag off of T. Higgins and gave him more than 1 year. They gave him a contract. And who's waiting to get his contract still right now? Trey Hendrickson, who had quite a statement yesterday, right? He gave that statement?
Yeah, he released a statement to ESPN saying that he's unhappy, not going to play this year on his current contract, and hasn't decided if he's going to sit out games, but would if it came to it.
Well, he gave that a little more meat on the bones, and here's what he said in his statement, saying, no communication has taken place between my camp and the organization post-draft. The offers prior to the draft did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised last season. If I continue to play at a high level, and he won the sacks title last year, coaches are aware of these past conversations. Rather than using collaboration to get us to a point to bring me home to the team, they are no longer communicating. So he's basically saying the coaches aren't communicating now, or I'm assuming he's saying that after he said coaches are aware of these past conversations. Or he's just saying the organization as a whole. I mean, I've been eagerly awaiting a resolution, but that's hard to do when there's no discussion and evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals. Phew. And he's beginning to press the pedal to the metal here because, practices are starting. And at some point, there's going to be something mandatory that he will be forced to miss if he continues to take what he believes is the only stance he can take. And you don't want to do that. It'll cost you money, even though you can eventually come to an agreement that you don't fine me anyway. But I think the collective bargaining agreement mandates the fines. But long story short is he showed up today in street clothes. So at least when you're holding in, but he's not even walking around like, ooh, my arm, I can't do it.
He's just walking around.
He's just walking around in street clothes as a pissed off individual and had this to say to the media.
Well, I can raise a hypothetical with a hypothetical. I wouldn't be standing here with you if I got the deal in January, So to say I'm going to sit out or to say I'm not going to, what I can say is I'm very disappointed with the communication that's been had. It's very... Former players have walked in these shoes, and what it foreshadows is not something that I'm excited about to tell my wife and family, like, hey, I'm getting good vibes, or should be happy. Those comments stink, and that's what makes this place so special, is that they watch me every day. They see how hard I work. There's no other organization knows me better than this one. They watch me as an individual. They see how I carry myself as a human being, and they know me. So it stinks when the value somewhere else, because I was fortunate enough to have that trade request granted, whether it was 1, 2, 3 first-round picks, I had no idea. It gave me the fortunate circumstance to see my value elsewhere, and I'm hoping it doesn't come to that.
Me too, man. It's a $15.8 million contract that's on the table for him because that's the end of his 4-year, I guess, $60 million deal that he did sign with the Bengals.
Correct.
Okay. And I understand that's a lot of money. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are sitting here watching and listening and we're like, well, go sack a quarterback for that amount of money. It's significant. The guy in his own division, in his own state, who he beat out for the sack race last year and was in the mix with for Defensive Player of the Year, is going to make damn near 3 times as much this year alone, $40 million a year in Myles Garrett. And he was ready to leave because his team, as he was seeing it, as he told us at the Super Bowl, wasn't, in his mind, up to snuff to win a Super Bowl. And so he told him he wanted a trade, and then yada, 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 40 million reasons per year to stay. So that's the new market. And, I don't know if Micah's going to hit it or not, but I don't blame Trey Hendrickson. And it just kind of stinks if they're just saying, and we're not talking to you. Just talk to the guy. I mean, put Mike Brown on a golf cart and have him sit there. And I guess he could tell him what he doesn't want to hear, but at least he's hearing it. At least he's hearing it. If that is, in fact, the case, puts the coaches in a tough bind. And I know it's a midnight league. It's just like, all right, we're just going to force you to take these stances because we don't have to do anything just yet. You sit out. It stinks for you. You got to sit here through the summer months. You don't know what you're going to, as he says, tell the wife and kids. This is a stance about respect and long-term finances in a sport where you got to make your own right now, and it's a loyalty league for ownership until the player wants his. Then suddenly you need to be loyal enough to show up. It's a really tough spot. It stinks. And I feel for the guy because, money is obviously a sign of respect. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what they're going to do because the Bengals have definitely, played hardball before. I mean, this is not Mike Brown's first rodeo. Mm. I do hope to hear the Velcro rip noise around the world for him. Because that's the noise that that anytime an angel gets its wings, you hear a bell. Anytime a Bengal gets a contract, you hear that noise.
I was waiting on that.
All right.
Live.
Oh, Mike's going to do it live.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
That's how he did it.
I like it. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.